Hi everyone, it's Friday and that means Friday Leaks. So we've shown you a lot of heroes, but what are heroes good for if we don't have some boss? So today we're gonna look at one of the boss. It's gonna be Fafnir. So Fafnir was initially a dwarf that out of greed killed his father to steal the dwarf Andvari ring and then became a dragon. He was later slain by, it depends on the tales, but some tales it was Beowulf, some other tales was other characters, but Beowulf is the one that's most known, and he was an inspiration for Smaug in Lord of the Ring. So let's start with Fafnir lair. So Fafnir, as all dragon, holds a big treasure inside his cave, and the most important piece is the gold ring that transforms Fafnir into the dragon, and is also helping him find some valuable mineral and gold inside. So there, the first big part is in the background is the big hole of molten rock that's caused by the dragon's fire. And you can see the Asgardian sculpture in the background because it's more of an Asgard dragon. But they're also reusing some Kojiki assets. So they're using some Kojiki rocks to create the stalactites. And they're also using Surt Inferno columns and platform from Surt Inferno, and that in itself is another leak because Surt, we known him more as Surtur in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's that great Niflheim giant of fire that destroyed Asgard in Thor Ragnarok. So we probably are looking at Surtur as another of Godforge boss, but for now let's stick with Fafnir. So for the lair, there's two main versions. The first version is more architecture focused, so dwarven columns for the first waves, because the first wave is mainly you fight heroes, so dead bodies and skeletons, still some scars on the ground, but it's mainly heroes, so more space, more of an open space. The second wave is Fafnir. So again, some dwarven architecture and human bones a little bit everywhere. And on the second version, it's more of a rock. So the first one is more like a dwarven cave, and the second version is more like an actual dragon lair. So we're gonna take a closer look of each version. So that's the first wave of the more architectural cavern, and so we can see all the dragon scars a little bit everywhere, the dead bodies, but it's more light, there's more space, especially in the background with that version. And then you go to the Fafnir in itself, that is really taking all of the space with the broken columns and everything. Compared to that other version of Fafnir, where it's a little bit more open, especially in the background. And then we have a third version of the concept, where it's a little bit more of a mix of those columns and rocks, but still Fafnir is the centerpiece. So some details about the dragon lair. So quickly, it's more like rock texture and crystals, geometric rock formation for the columns, weapon, armor, treasure. So classic dragon lair basically. So for the model reference, we want a powerful scaled drake who can breathe and emanate fire, and we have to consider fire on his scales when he is in phase 1. So we know that it's a 2-phase boss, not just a you see it, that's what you beat. There's going to be 2 phases to that boss. And they wanted a model similar to Smaug in Lord of the Ring. He should be impressive, ancient, and he has been slumbering for a while, so his ancient vibe should be reflected. So first they look at Fafnir in mythology and media. So different version of Fafnir, and Sigurd, who killed him, his armor is made of his scales, so as a reference too. And naturally they wanted to look at other dragons. They added some raid dragon to avoid too similar design. And they also added Smaug that was inspired by Fafnir. So that enables to say, okay, what do we want? But we don't want that exact thing because it's already been done elsewhere. And for the skin and membrane, they're showing some more animal skins, and they really went with the more metallic, iridescent scales to resemble some coins, and also membrane, so different coloration. And for the head, they wanted multiple horn and a more elongated head. So they use YDG, Ydregot, dragon base form. So they took YDG and then they modified it for Fafnir. So those are 4 base concepts of Fafnir. So first of all, it's the more Lindworm inspired. Second, it's shorter legs, thicker limbs and head, with the beard that references dwarf past, and more of the environment colors. Then in 4th is the darker color, golden coin-like scales, thinner head and ring on the horn. And the number 3 is basically a mix of 1 and 4 with different wings. So if we take a closer look at the concept, we see golden area resembling coins and some emissive area, bright green, that also contrasts with the more red environment, like the horn, the tongue, the eyes, the underside of the chest scales, and the tip of the tail. Because it's gonna be a poison dragon, so they wanted to hint about the poison in the concept. And naturally they wanted Andvaranot, the ring that transforms it in the dragon, somewhere on the design. So in this concept, it's on the horn. So after that concept, Dane overdrew some modification and some things for Esther to focus on. So the first point is, since he will be scaled up as a boss and bigger in general, he wanted his head to be a little bit smaller so the rest of the frame looks more powerful. That also might mean that scaled up as a boss means that maybe we can get him as a hero too. So perhaps in Godforge we will be able to collect bosses as heroes and have the big version as bosses. So we'll see. Then secondly, for the beard, he wanted not this long but more in reference of dwarven beard. In 3, a furry mantle over his shoulder and between the shoulder blade. In 4, he wanted the bracelets, anklets with more Nordic carving on the legs. And in 5, he wanted the back leg to look a bit longer, because it looks stubbier and odd compared to YDG while we start posing it. So those were the big modification of the aim. And so from the initial modification to the second, we can see that the back legs looks different, the bracelets, anklets too, the profile of the beard also quite different. Then we go back and forth on the design and some revision of Esther. She was saying that VFX could really pop on when it is in enraged form. So we know that the first form will be initial and the second form will be more enraged. So that's the head concept for the initial form. So dragon menacing, but the enraged form is more like fire coming from everywhere, the big red horns. That's gonna really match the background of the cave. So that's the final concept they went with for Fafnir as a boss. So on the bottom, on the legs, the Envaranote bracelets. They kept the green for the mouth and the tail for the poison, but they really went with the red overall for the wings and the horns and the chest, with more of a red coin scale vibe. So really amazing work, and we can really see that Fafnir is gonna look really different from YDG. So it's great that they can have two dragons in the game and still it's two completely different dragons. It's not just like blue dragon, red dragon. It's really different dragons and they're gonna be amazing. So that was all. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.